There comes a moment when words fail, when the voice trembles, when silence is not absence, but presence. In that fragile pause, a hand reaches out, a gaze lingers, a breath slows, and without a single syllable, the truth is spoken. Have you ever caught a glimpse of someone's soul in a fleeting gesture? A moment so small, yet it cracked open the illusion and revealed everything they felt, but never dared to say. This is not just a video. It is an invitation to slow down, to look deeper, to understand not through noise, but through nuance. Stay with this journey until the final breath, because by the end you won't just see others more clearly, you will see yourself. There are moments in life when the truth is not shouted, nor even spoken. It is simply revealed, not through elaborate words or long confessions, but in something as fleeting as a touch, a glance, a gesture that passes like a breeze and yet leaves behind the fragrance of sincerity. A man may speak many things, words of affection, of apology, of intent, but the language of the body untrained by strategy often reveals what the tongue dares not. When you witness someone's action in a moment when no one is watching, when no reward is expected, that is where truth resides. Imagine a candle in a still room. Its flame does not boast, yet it illuminates everything. So too is a gesture born from the heart. It does not demand recognition. It has the power to light up an entire understanding. There once was a disciple who followed his master through years of silence and simplicity. The disciple often asked deep questions about love, truth, and intention. The master would rarely answer with words. One winter morning, snow blanketed the mountains and silence cloaked the temple. The disciple found his master waiting outside with 2 cups of hot tea. No words were spoken, no lessons announced, but the disciple later wrote, "In the warmth of that cup, I tasted the answer to every question I ever asked." The power of that moment was not in the tea itself, but in the gesture. Timed, thoughtful, done without expectation. It was not grand, but it was honest. This is the nature of truth. It does not parade. It simply is. In daily life, we often overlook these silent messages. A child may hold your finger while crossing the street, not because they need help walking, but because in that small gesture they are saying, "I trust you." A friend may send a short message, not full of words, but simply to say, "I remembered you today." A partner may adjust your collar, not as a correction, but as care manifesting in action. These are the moments when hearts speak clearly, and yet we often miss them, searching instead for louder expressions. Seneca once wrote, "Light grief speak easily, but the deep are dumb." In the same way, loud declarations may sometimes hide the absence of depth, while simple gestures carry oceans of feeling. When someone opens a door and waits for you to walk through it, not out of politeness. Presence, when they look at you in silence rather than fill the space with hollow comfort. These are the gestures that echo long after they've passed. To notice them, one must become quiet within. A noisy mind cannot perceive a soft truth. If you are always rushing, always demanding clarity through noise, you will miss the elegance of what is shown silently. Walk into a forest and observe a tree. It does not shout its presence. It does not demand admiration. And yet, through its stillness, its shade, its strength, it communicates everything. So too must we learn to read people not by the rustling of their words, by the roots of their gestures. It takes courage to observe deeply, because in doing so, we not only begin to see others clearly, but we start to see ourselves. Our own gestures become mirrors. The way we speak when we're not speaking, the way we show care or distance, the way we touch a hand or avoid a gaze. What are we revealing that we do not say? If you have ever been moved by someone simply staying beside you in silence during a storm, then you already know the truth of gestures. do not need translation, they need presence. Let your awareness become soft and vast, like a mountain mist that settles on all things. Let it wrap around the gestures of those around you. Do not analyze them. Feel them. Let them wash over your heart like waves that do not explain themselves, yet always arrive. There is no technique to master this. Only stillness, only breath, only watching, not with suspicion, but with serenity. That is when you will begin to see a gesture done without performance is a pure reflection of the soul. And what of the one who makes such gestures? Truth flows not from desire, but alignment, which leads us into another layer of awareness, how intention flows like breath. Intention is not something we say, it is something we carry. It moves like air through a flute. It is invisible, yet it creates music. When someone's intention is clear, their actions have rhythm. When it is conflicted, the melody stumbles. But intention, like breath, cannot be forced. It must come from within. There was once a farmer who visited a sage in the mountains, troubled that his son no longer listened to him. The sage said nothing. Instead, he gave the farmer a bowl of water and a feather. He asked him to balance the feather on the water's surface. The farmer tried to force it down. It sank. He tried to hold it just above. It floated away. Only when he let go gently, letting the feather land with the water's movement, did it settle. Your words, said the sage, are like your hands, but your intention, that is the feather. If it does not come with stillness, it will never land. This is the nature of true feeling. It cannot be forced. It cannot be staged. The breath does not boast its purpose. It sustains every moment. In the same way, authentic intention cannot be hidden. When someone's presence feels like calm wind in summer, not a storm of promises, you are witnessing their inner alignment. In personal growth, this is especially clear. Consider someone who helps others not for applause, but because it is who they are. Their breath carries calm, not urgency. Their voice carries warmth, not strategy. Their actions align with their essence. There is no division. And it is this inner harmony that builds trust, not through words, but through consistent presence. Nature teaches this constantly. The sun rises every day not to impress, but to serve its nature. It does not announce its arrival. It simply shines. The river does not explain its path. It flows according to its source. When a person's gestures match their inner stillness, they too become like the river or the sun, quietly certain, deeply felt. As the Tao Te Ching expresses, the sage does not display himself, and so he shines. He does not assert himself, and so he becomes distinguished. This is not passivity. This is power without noise. This is the force of intention, flowing like breath, undisturbed by ego. Reflect now on a time when someone's action felt effortless yet profoundly meaningful. Perhaps it was a teacher who stayed behind with you after others left, a parent who placed a hand on your back when no words were needed, a stranger who gave up their seat without making it a display. These are gestures born from clear intention, gentle as breath, yet deeply anchored in care. To live with such intention requires a different kind of strength, not to dominate the moment, to enter it with integrity, not to impress, but to express something true. When your breath is steady, your actions begin to reflect your truth more clearly. And when you observe the world from that same stillness, you will begin to see others not through what they claim, but through what they do, softly, silently. Let this awareness rise within you. Let it guide how you touch, how you speak, how you walk. Let your presence become your message and your breath become your teacher. Path towards seeing true feelings is not paved with sharp questions, but with quiet attention. It is not found in declarations, in the unnoticed acts of love. A gesture, when pure, is the echo of an aligned soul, and so return again to the beginning, not to find an answer, but to deepen the question. What truth lies behind the smallest things we do? Keep watching. Keep becoming. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of depth. In our world of ever spinning wheels and echoing voices, stillness is often mistaken for passivity. But in truth, it is where the mind becomes a mirror, where the heart listens instead of speaks. Stillness is not emptiness. It is fullness without noise. Imagine two lakes. One is turbulent, stirred by storm, its surface broken and restless. The other is silent, undisturbed, holding the reflection of the moon with perfect clarity. Which lake can reveal the truth of the sky? So it is with the human mind. Only in stillness can sincerity reveal itself. When someone pauses before responding, when they listen without interruption, when they choose presence over performance, this is not weakness. This is the strength of stillness. From it emerges a quiet kind of truth that words cannot counterfeit. It is in these moments, in the stillness between gestures, sincerity finds space to unfold. There is a story told in a quiet temple hidden in the cliffs of the East. A student, eager to prove his devotion, worked day and night performing endless rituals, reciting sacred texts aloud until his voice cracked. He begged the master to reveal to him the path of truth. The master remained silent. Days passed. Finally, one dawn, the student sat beside the master, no longer asking, just breathing. The master looked at him and said softly, "Now you are ready." For in your silence, you began to listen. The student realized that all his effort, though well-intentioned, had created a noise that blocked the very wisdom he sought. It was only in surrendering to stillness that he became capable of perceiving sincerity, not just in others, but in himself. In daily life, this can be observed in the simplest of interactions. Think of someone who rushes to comfort a friend in pain, speaking endlessly, offering advice. Then think of another who simply sits beside them, sharing silence, offering nothing but presence. It is often the latter who offers true healing. Why? Because stillness allows the heart to feel heard, not fixed, not explained, simply seen. Nature, too, is a great teacher of this principle. The bamboo does not speak as it grows. The snowfall makes no sound as it covers the earth. Yet in these still acts, entire worlds are changed. The forest listens to itself. It does not argue. And in that quiet communion, balance is maintained. So it is with us. When we learn to sit with the silence between gestures, when we become sensitive to the space after a word, or the pause before a touch, we begin to perceive what lies beneath the surface. The hidden sincerity, the emotion that is too sacred to name. Zhuangzi once wrote, "Flow with whatever may happen and let your mind be free. Stay centered by accepting whatever you are doing." This is the ultimate. These words remind us that sincerity is not something to chase. It is something we create space for. It arrives when we are no longer clouded by urgency. The stillness between gestures is not empty. It is sacred. It is the breath before a decision, the silence before the sunrise, the moment the heart whispers what the lips cannot say. When you begin to honor that space in others, you also begin to honor it in yourself. And sincerity, like a lotus blooming on a quiet pond, rises without effort from such waters. As we let this understanding settle into our being, dust settling on a windowsill, we find ourselves ready to glimpse the next unfolding. How gestures, when born of inner harmony, reveal the alignment of mind and heart. The mind may design the intention, but it is the heart that gives it life. When the two are in harmony, every gesture becomes poetry, clear, graceful, and unmistakably true. But when the mind and heart are divided, our actions wobble like a cart with uneven wheels. We may say the right things, but our presence betrays the inconsistency within. Picture a musician playing a harp. If the strings are not tuned, no matter how skillful the fingers, the sound will be jarring. When the strings are in harmony, each note resonates, not just with sound, but with spirit. So too, when the heart and mind are in agreement, every gesture we make sings the truth of who we are. There is a Zen parable of a monk who, during evening prayers, noticed a spider in the corner of the shrine. For days, he watched it spin its web diligently. He began to feed it crumbs, respecting its silent discipline. One morning, another monk came and swept the corner clean. The first monk felt anger rise. Instead of reacting, he bowed. "This is the teaching," he whispered. The spider spun its truth. The broom acted its purpose. My response revealed my harmony, or the lack of it. That monk saw something we often miss, that gestures, whether from us or others, are opportunities to witness our own inner state. When we are aligned, clear in intention, calm in emotion, our responses are thoughtful, not reactive. They come not from pride or fear, but from centeredness. In personal development, we see this most clearly in relationships. When someone says they love, but their actions are inconsistent, the heart feels the dissonance. But when love is present in both word and deed, in remembering small things, in caring gestures, in patient listening, the feeling becomes undeniable. It is not grand gestures that prove alignment. It is a repeated, quiet consistency. In nature, the migrating birds follow unseen currents with perfect synchronization. The roots of trees, though invisible, guide the growth above. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is disconnected. That same natural alignment exists in us when we are not at war with ourselves. Lao Tzu said, "To the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders." This is not conquest, it is harmony. When the mind is still and the heart is open, we move like the wind through leaves. Gentle, purposeful, and natural. So how do we find this alignment? It begins with attention, with knowing the landscape of our thoughts, with observing our emotional tides without judgment. When we begin to understand what we think and why we feel it, we bring these inner rivers together. And in their merging, there is power. Consider the way a child reaches out for their parent, not with hesitation, but with pure trust. That gesture is alignment in motion. There is no calculation, no pretense. Just a mind free of doubt and a heart full of need. In adulthood, we often lose this purity. But it is not lost forever. It sleeps beneath our complexities, waiting for simplicity to awaken it. To offer a gesture from this place is to offer truth. Whether it is a bow of respect, a hand extended in forgiveness, or a quiet presence beside another, it carries the full weight of your being. And others, even if they cannot name it, will feel it. Let your breath guide you back to this place when you are lost. Let your body become an instrument of your inner harmony. Only when silence does not suffice. Move only when stillness gives way to action. In this way, your life becomes a series of gestures that do not just express your truth, they are your truth. As you carry these reflections, walk slowly. Let each step be an offering. Let each moment be enough. For when your outer gestures begin to reflect your inner peace, you will no longer need to prove who you are. Your being will speak for itself. And those who watch, who listen, not with ears, with presence, will understand, without explanation, without effort. They will see the flame in your stillness, and they will know discipline is often misunderstood as something harsh and rigid, like a stone wall built to keep emotions out. True discipline is not the denial of feeling. It is the structure that gives feeling its shape. It is not control for the sake of control. It is care made visible, repeated through time. A disciplined gesture, one offered not just once, but again and again with presence, reveals something deeper than impulse or charm. It shows a person's center. In love, in friendship, in service, it is not the grand acts that define us, but the quiet, consistent ways we show up for others and for ourselves. There is a tale of a gardener who lived in the mountains, known for his breathtakingly beautiful plum trees. When a traveler asked him his secret, the gardener replied, "Every morning I walk among them. I clear the weeds. I offer water. I remove what no longer serves. There is no magic, only care every day, even when no one watches." So it is with the gestures that reveal true feeling. They may seem small. A morning greeting, a steady hand offered in times of uncertainty, a thoughtful silence, but they are rooted in something strong and invisible: discipline. The discipline to care again and again without fanfare. In everyday life, this can be seen in the way someone listens without rushing, in the way they remember what matters to you, or even in the way they make space for your presence without needing to be the center of it. Discipline is not loud. It does not need to be. Its power lies in its steadiness. Look to nature, and you will find this pattern echoed in the most sacred cycles. The tides return without fail. The moon completes its circle. Birds do not sing one morning and fall silent the next. They rise in chorus with the sun every day. There is no applause. There is no audience. There is only the deep rhythm of care expressing itself through constancy. This rhythm, when brought into human action, becomes love, not the sudden spark of affection, but the enduring fire that warms long after passion fades. When someone brings you tea every evening, not because it's asked, because it's become part of their nature. There is a truth in that gesture that words cannot convey. Shantideva, 8th century Buddhist sage, once wrote, "The one who conquers themselves is greater than the one who conquers 1,000 enemies." This is the heart of disciplined love. It is not reactive. It is not showy. It is chosen again and again, even in silence, especially in silence. Consider a parent who rises every morning before the sun to prepare food for their family, though no thanks is ever spoken. Or a partner who gently places a hand on your back in a crowd, not out of habit, but as a quiet offering of support. Or a teacher who stays after class not for praise, but because they wish to ensure that no one is left behind. These are not performances. These are reflections of internal alignment, repeated through time. They are made possible by discipline. And here, we must remember, discipline is not cold. When rooted in love, it becomes sacred. It becomes a vessel that holds emotion with dignity. Without discipline, even the truest feelings remain scattered, like raindrops never allowed to become a river. The gestures that rise from this place are different. They do not seek to impress. They seek to serve. They do not falter in inconvenience. They become more valuable in it. When one's care is stronger than their comfort, you are seeing discipline made visible. To cultivate this in yourself, begin with the breath. Return to it again and again. As you inhale, observe how it asks for nothing but your attention. As you exhale, feel how it gives everything without demand. Let your discipline be like the breath, quiet, essential, generous. And then we arrive at the final unfolding: awareness, the gatekeeper of wisdom. Without awareness, we are blind to the gestures of others, and even more so to our own. Awareness is the light that makes the invisible visible. It is the still flame that illuminates the truth of the moment. Not by force, but by presence. There is a story from an old Zen tradition of a man who visited a temple in search of enlightenment. The master poured him a cup of tea and continued pouring until the tea spilled over. The man exclaimed, "It's full! No more will go in!" The master replied, "You are like this cup, full of your own opinions and distractions. Until you empty yourself, how can you receive wisdom?" Awareness begins with this emptying. It is not about adding more, but seeing clearly what already is. Most of us move through life half seeing. We hear words but miss intention. We see actions but ignore emotion. We speak without listening. We live without noticing. But awareness is what transforms a glance into a message, a pause into understanding, a simple gesture into a revelation. In the natural world, awareness is everywhere. A deer does not think its way into safety. It senses. It listens with its whole body. A flower does not rush to bloom. It follows light with gentle faith. Nature's awareness is not mental, it is embodied. Alive in every root, every breeze, every breath. To cultivate this awareness in yourself is to awaken. Not to become something new, but to remember what you already are. As the Upanishads say, when the mind is still, the self shines. And in that stillness gestures, yours and others, begin to shimmer with meaning. You begin to see that the way someone closes a door or speaks your name or waits for your answer contains a world. You notice the patterns, the softness, the hesitation, the truth behind what is not said. In personal development, awareness is the difference between movement and growth. You can go through all the motions, meditation, journaling, reading, but without awareness, they are just rituals. With awareness, they become revelation. In relationships, awareness is the bridge between assumption and connection. When you are aware, you ask not just, what did they say, but what are they really feeling? You become curious, not controlling, receptive, not reactive. This is not always comfortable. Awareness brings clarity, and clarity often brings discomfort. You may begin to see that someone's care is not as deep as their words suggest, or that your own actions do not reflect your inner truth. This is not failure. This is the beginning of transformation. The ancient Stoic Epictetus wrote, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." Awareness humbles us. It softens us. And in that softening, we become able to grow. Let awareness be your guide, your compass, your companion. Cultivate it through breath, through observation, through stillness. Let it widen your vision until every moment becomes a teacher, every gesture a lesson, every silence an invitation. And as your awareness deepens, so too does your compassion. For when you truly see, you understand. And when you understand, you cannot help but care. Let this be your path discipline as the structure of love, awareness as the light of wisdom. Let your gestures be rooted in care, refined by presence and revealed through stillness. Then, even in silence, your truth will speak, and those who are still enough will hear. Like a mountain watching the clouds pass, remain still, and the truth will always reveal itself. The gesture you once dismissed as simple may hold the entire story of someone's heart. But to see it, you must first become what you seek, sincere, open, observant. Reflect on this quietly. Watch again not just the video, your life, your people, your patterns. Because sometimes understanding doesn't come from knowing more, it comes from noticing what has always been there. And that is when wisdom begins.